All right, so last week we talked about teaching that two on, two off contact behavior, and just here's an A-frame example to show you what that looks like on the actual obstacle. So the dogs have to touch that yellow zone with their feet. That's for safety reasons, and also you'll get faults if they do not. And this is just showing you how we want them to stop at the bottom, and also how I'm practicing tossing a toy for my dog and practicing having my dog wait before I release them. And I make them wait for a decent time in practice so that they have a really nice stay at the bottom for competition. And now here's a couple different jump sequences, just showing you some different ways you can set up your course. For a beginner elementary course, you're going to be looking at an overall course with some A-frame, jumps, tunnels, stuff like that for those levels in the shape of a S, U, or M. So just some basic little curves there. A little bit different for the jumpers courses. And right here is a pretty straight line. The jumps are just slightly angled to get the dog used to the fact that they're supposed to go over that line of jumps even if the jump is slightly angled. And again, right there, that's why we want the bars to fall, so just in case the dog does touch it, it doesn't cause injury. And you can practice this with your dog on leash. If you are going to be doing beginner on leash, I would recommend practicing with the leash to get your dog started. This dog here is a little bit more advanced and is in a fenced-in area, so it's safe for that dog to practice off leash as well. Again, you'll notice his owner tossing a toy to direct his attention forward and keep him nice and excited for his reward at the end. Keep up nice speed for the agility course. It's also a great time to practice having your dog wait at the start of a course. So right there, she asked her dog to wait, and it's called a start line stay, and her dog got a little too excited and started to go do that jump first. So she just had him come back and reset him again, and that's a really great thing to practice now, is having a start line stay and having your dog wait at the beginning of a course. Alright, so in this example, the jumps are turned even more. So if you compare this example of jumps to the setup of the last session, these are going to be even more angled, and you can practice with them turned quite a bit. The dog doesn't need to jump the jump as it's turned. They can do what's called slice the jump and jump it sideways. So you'll see on that far left jump, you'll notice that it's turned quite a bit, and he is still jumping it in a straight line, which is an important skill to practice as well. It can help save you time on the course. And again, in both of these, you'll notice that his owner is practicing running on both sides. Going back and looking at tunnels a little bit, this is what I talked a little bit about in week 1, but it's an example of a tunnel that is curved. So I'm using that play tunnel here, but again, you can make a tunnel with some chairs and blankets or whatever kind of works for you. And you can see how the dogs can't see the end of that tunnel, which can be intimidating for them to go inside of it. So our goal is that we can just send them through, right, like we did there with Wendigo, and have them be confident that we are sending them into this deep dark hole and that they will be able to come out the other side just fine. So Wendigo is very confident with tunnels. He's my older dog, and then Hobbs is that one there that's just kind of checking it out and not sure. So what I did with him to start for that entry with the closed tunnel is grabbed some treats and then just kind of tossed him in so he could get used to the fact that the tunnel was curved and it wasn't going to swallow him up. He wasn't going to get stuck in there. He takes new things pretty hard, so this was how we had to start with him. And I'm not going to force him into the tunnel. That could risk some fear there, so we're just going to let him sniff around and find out what's in the tunnel. Wendigo's also trying to help him get treats out. And I'm just going to hold that tunnel entrance for a little bit more stability there. So he started figuring out the tunnel wasn't going to eat him. It was going to be okay. Started heading further on in there. I let him back out right now just because I didn't want to force him and have him never want to go in the tunnel ever again, because you can risk that with some flooding of the tunnel right there. And then as he got comfortable with it, I grabbed my fiance to help me hold him. So I started off having him hold him at the entrance of the tunnel, and then sending him through, and then rewarding with those treats at the end. Finally, I wanted to talk a little bit about course maps and how we can set up some obstacles for some more practice. So this is an example of what a jump looks like on a course map. You can imagine it as though you're looking from the top down over the jump, and that big middle bar is where they're going to be jumping, and then those two side bars are just an example of the wings, or kind of the ends of the jump. So this is kind of what you might see on a course map. Some examples we'll walk through. Seeing jumps like this, you might expect a dog to take that blue line path and have to make lots of curves to go over those jumps. That's very time consuming for the dogs, and it also takes a lot of handling to have them curve that much. So in reality though, if we look at the angle of this jump, we can see that they can simply go on a straight line. They can clear that jump, and they don't have to jump it facing it. They can jump it sideways like that. So that's a really good skill to practice with your dogs, is that angle of the jump and being able to cut across it. Two different kind of courses you can set up to help practice with this. Two jumps in a straight line, one at a slight angle, run it both directions with the dog on the left and the right. And then another example is a full curve of jumps. So running it both left and right with the dog on the outside. So typically you'll want to stay in that bottom middle portion so that the dog has to run further than you. And this is another great exercise that you can set up and practice with some homemade jumps for your dog.